All right, I want to show you a little bit about what I've been working on with the new org-cite and how it's going to probably replace org-graph or be integrated into a future version of org-graph. So this is only a couple of days old here, so I won't promise these names will stay the same. I chose ocbibtech.l to separate it from what's in there, which is ocnatbib and ocbibliotech. And partially because I wanted to make a bunch of changes to be more consistent with how I use org-graph, and to reflect the fact that in my work we use bibtech as the processor. We do use natbib also, but I made a bunch of changes in here that made it fairly separate from ocnatbib. So going forward, I'm getting rid of all the backends except for probably ivbibtech. That's what we use at the moment. And I made the site styles look a little bit more like NatBib so that there isn't very much cognitive load when I'm trying to figure out what I'm using. I made the sites green like they are in org-graph. In theory, FlySpell should ignore the sites, but I think that's not working quite right yet. And I added some navigation functions through a key map and some editing functions I'll show you, and a Hydra menu that we'll use on following. And finally, I'll show you this bibliography style keyword. So there needs to be a setup. So first I set up here ivbibtech, setting all of the variables to things, the formats that I want to use and see. I use the site proc package so that we can get CSL. I'm not going to talk about that today. And then this code here for use package relies on this this get path that I use. And then this is temporary for now because I haven't put this on my path yet. But otherwise down here we set some variables. So I set my global bibliography to what I used in ivbibtech. We set the processors to use the bibtech, ocbibtech thing that I'm working on. You'll be able to see it in the Cymax repo while it's not stable. And then finally, I use a different, normally I would use Control-C right bracket to insert with org-graph, but it's still active, so we use Control-C, I guess that's a backslash, which is pretty easy and right next to it, close to what I'm used to. So you'll run this to get everything set up, and then let's talk about what things look like. So this is a citation, and you can see here it looks like FlySpell is not disabled on these exactly the right way yet. I don't know why. I'll find out later. But to insert it, a citation is pretty simple. Control-C backslash. I have a couple of things we can choose here. I'll pick this one, and that's it. So it is as easy as org-graph to insert a citation. And similar to org-graph, we have tooltips, which is really great. And if you accidentally delete one, it turns red, which is also really great. So awesome job to everybody who's worked on this so far. So the default site style type I use is site/t, and that's because if I just use site:, it seems to be confused by the org-graph site link. So I'm trying not to use those to keep these as orthogonal as I can. Let's talk about multiple citations. So again, if I type Control-C bracket, then I get here, and I use IV. So if you use IV, then the default is Control-Alt-M, and that will leave this open so I can select another one, and we can just keep selecting them, and it will automatically insert. And the only thing that's a little bit tricky is you need to remember to press return on the last one to exit, or you just Control-G and you get the little error bell. But I'm okay with that for now. There's a couple of things. Let's say I want to insert on an existing citation. So sometimes that'll happen where I want to add to it or change it. And the rules are kind of complicated. If you're at the beginning of a citation, that means you are on the @ then it will insert before. Let's see. Okay, what's happening? Let's just delete this. Let's go back to the beginning here. I don't know what happened there. Control C, there. This should insert before it. And if you were at the end of a citation, so that means you're on the semicolon, Control C right there, then it will insert after it. And if you're in the middle of one, it will replace it. So I want to replace this one with, say, the bibliometrics. It will just replace it. And then if you're at the beginning here on this side, then it will obviously press Control C bracket there. Here it will just insert it at the beginning. All right, so something's not going totally right as I type and talk. You can insert a new style. So the way this one works is that you just use a prefix arg. So here I would do Control U, Control C, and that. This will ask me for here, and then I can select a new style, and you can see here it goes cite/author. So that's just with a single prefix arg. And if you use two prefix args, then it will just delete the thing that's at point, which is usually the reference. So that's kind of helpful. All right, so then a couple of other things that are important is this idea of following a reference. So if I want to follow it, you either click on it or press return or Control C, Control O. So when I do that, I'm going to get this large hydra. And the hydra has all kinds of things, like if I press P, it would try to open the PDF. If you look at some of these others, you can look at the BibTeX entry. Let's look at B. This will open the BibTeX entry. And then there's a couple of other things about editing that I'll get to in a moment. But we can open a URL, open the notes, get information about the citation at point, a couple of editing commands, some navigation I'll get to later, ways to copy different pieces of it, and opening it in different kinds of web services. And then let's try E. That looks like a good one. This will open an email with an attached PDF, which I do with my students a lot. Okay. How about editing the citation at point? A lot of times I have citations that I want to shuffle them. So let's say I'm on this one here. I want to shift it to the left. I just push shift left and it does that. Or I can do shift right and move them around. And I can do shift up and it will sort them by year, which I find convenient. And then if I don't like this particular one, I can do Control D to get rid of that. And I could do Control K, which will kill it. And then you can, of course, paste it back. And if you want to add prefix or suffix text, then meta P will prompt me, as my window is a little bit small there. Let me fix it over here so you can see a little bit better. It will prompt me for this, so I can say, let's say 1, and then suffix text might be 2, and get rid of this. Yes. Okay. It will insert. That didn't work quite the way it should have. And we're going to see the debugger. So let's try that again. Up here, the convenience, if I press Alt-W, it copies it. And down here, I can do this. And again, here, if I do meta P, then I can type 1 and 2, and that should insert with the prefix and suffix the way it's supposed to. I don't know what happened before. How about navigation? We can do Control left and jump around to the different keys. And if you are at the beginning and you do Control Left again, it should go to the previous key that you can see up here. So you can do Control Left, Control Right to navigate around. And from here, if I do Control A, it jumps to the beginning, and Control E jumps to the end. And just to show you about that, if I do Control E, it goes to the end of the site, and Control E again goes to the end of the line. And here, Control A goes to the beginning of the site, and Control A again goes to the beginning of the line, which is pretty handy. And I showed you we can do meta W on a site to copy it. So if we copy it there, then I can paste the whole site. And if I'm on a key, then later I can just type that particular key somewhere. So if you wanted to paste it in the right place, you could. Also, if you do, I think, Alt-M, it will mark the citation, and then you can do what you want. You can cut it, you can paste it, etc. So those are just kind of conveniences on the sites. All right, and then the last thing, second to last thing, we'll talk about exporting. You need to put a print bibliography keyword like this one. And depending on the details, you may also want to put in a bibliography style keyword like this. So this will put the bibliography here where we want it with this particular style. And if we run this, I guess it's probably not going to show exactly in this window. Let's wait till it pops up. Maybe I can just open it inside Emacs. That exports like this. You can see we get these nice little numbers. Let's go down to the bottom. Here I like to use NatMove, so most of these get exported to a plain site, and that moves it to the outside of the punctuation if it's a textual reference, but not if it's a parenthetical. And this is what a site num looks like. And here is the beautiful bibliography that came out of BibTeX. All right, so that's basically where things are. You should be able to get this code in Cymax. I will put a link to it in the description. And the couple of things that are missing so far, this only handles citations. I'll probably add something like org-graph crossref to handle ref and label links the way org-graph did before, because I like those features a lot. And this still relies on some things that are in org-graph, so I'll probably move them in here so that if you don't want to use org-graph in the future, you don't have to. Probably I will have it both of these running forever because we have something like 8 years of org-graph files in existence. So anyway, I hope that helps you see kind of the potential and how we're going to replace a lot of the citation capability of org-graph with this. I haven't really dug into how it works for HTML or CSL or any of the other kinds of backends, but I will think about that for a future post. That's it. Let me know if you have